Right.
Let's go. Let's get started. Cha's very good, but I made it, so no one else gets credit. Cha's good. Adrak, long, no, long mukki bhaiya. It's just lechi. It's very simple. All right, let's get started. We're going to talk about
What's on the agenda?
the agenda. Is I'm back from
The US.
the US tour, so back home. Got back on Saturday, and if anyone knows, I like crazy schedules. So I got back Saturday morning, and I landed 7:38, and then I got home. No, I landed 7:30. Then I got home 8:30, and Amrita was at the door waiting. She was already here,
Yeah.
and she was just about to get in because she was teaching at the house. So Amrita was already here when I rocked up, and she's like, "Did you just come from the airport?" I'm like, "Yep." And then so we walked in, left the bags in the car, walked in the house, and 8:45ish or something. And then I just came straight up. I said, "Amrita, you start practicing, whatever." And I showered, and then I went downstairs at 9:15. I started teaching.
Yeah.
So then I taught all day. From 9:15, Hajjas came. I sat with Hajjas, and then I sat with you guys, sat with strings.
Yeah.
We did all the classes, and then after that, in the evening, we had the batak where the kids sang. So all the students sang. Not all the students. Some of the students sang. They did a good job.
It was a really good battle this time.
Is Eknur smashing it?
Oh, that was honestly incredible.
Yeah,
It was
Eknur
so
was
good.
smashing. I was not.
Even that reel that I made, it was like
Yeah.
above 1,000 likes as well.
Yeah,
It was
it's
so
like
good.
everyone, if you were in the room, it was different because
It's so
everyone was
nice,
singing.
yeah.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of people knew the bandish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone was just like singing along. And
she was
like,
confident.
She was very
so
confident. It was so good.
Yeah.
So she did well. Then the other group did well too. The girls group with Kamal,
we had
Meher.
the boom, yeah, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Kamal, Meher, Barrel.
And even
the kids.
Malad and Karanveer as well. That was nice.
Yeah, they did
Go
well
Har
too.
Saman Neeraj, yeah.
But see, those guys are already, they can sing. They're like a bit more confident. But the
Yeah.
other group, that's more impressive because they...
Meher and stuff.
Yeah, Meher and stuff, they actually worked at it and they got better from last time. Same with Ignore. Anyway, so that happened. And so after that, I was actually meant to fly to New Zealand on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I thought you were going.
Yeah, I was meant to fly New Zealand Sunday morning, and then they had emergency floods and stuff. So flights and stuff had to be cancelled and stuff. So I'm still here. So I'm back. Jet lag and stuff is all settled. It feels good to be back in routine. From Monday, I kicked back and started everything again, like exercising, jiu-jitsu, practice, riyaz. After every one of these tours, even the last night, I made Karanveer do it too. Because the last night after we finished the program, it was just me and Karanveer left in the area. Everyone else went back home because they had to. We finished the last program on Sunday in Detroit, and then everyone had work Monday morning. So everyone left after the program. Me and Karanveer flew out on Monday, but we stayed in the same place Sunday night. And I think it was like 1 a.m. or something. I had my little book out, and I was writing, and he said, "What are you writing?" I'm like, "Well, I got to write what's fresh in my head about what worked, what doesn't work, what I need to fix," because you forget.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to strike when the iron's hot. And I said the same thing to him. I'm like, even he did all the tech, so everyone's been really appreciating like the video quality, the audio quality, and all of that. And it was all him. So I said to him, like, while it's fresh in your head, you should write down like your process. What's your process? Like, you offload the cards first. You start uploading this. Whilst you're doing that, you start editing the audio. What's working on the audio front in terms of the edit? So he did write some of the stuff down. I wrote some of the stuff down. Now that I'm back, I get to, sit in my room and work on all this stuff. Because I had major improvements to make from the UK.
Yeah.
Which, I feel like I did an okay job, but I know what I have to still work on and improve. And then this one gave me more lessons. And then that's what I only do these because I know that they'll force me to improve.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be singing every 2 weeks. That's not the point. The point is that I do this, and then it gives me a good hard look in the mirror, and then I have to go home and confront whatever I saw.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you just keep going. So you come back, and then you start chipping away whatever you had, So it was good. It was good. We can talk about the tour as well. I mean, just now before we started, we were just looking at the clips. I think the highlight of the entire tour was there was one that was we were expecting to be a highlight, and then one was completely unexpected highlight. The expected highlight was meeting Bhai Singh, who's Bhai Samund Singh Ji's son. And so we flew. We had just 2 programs, 2 days off with no programs in the whole tour, and we had reserved those days so we could go and see him. So in those 2 days, we actually flew to Tampa and met him. And
so was that like quite far away from like the program?
Yeah. So the program, Monday night we finished the program in New York, New Jersey, that area, and Tuesday morning we flew. I was thinking it was a 2-3 hour flight, and then it was like a 6-hour drive. I'm pretty sure 5-hour drive. I don't know. It was like a lot of flying and a lot of driving, and then we got to him in the late afternoon. And then he was like, no, you have to do Kirtan. So he made me do Kirtan at the program. So it ended up being a program on that day as well. But
at the Gurdwara or just
at the Gurdwara? At the Gurdwara. And so we went and met him, and that was the highlight, which was kind of like, one thing is the guy's fit. He's so
How old
fit.
is he?
He's 86, he said. And Preet Baji is a student of mine. He came along as well on the trip, and he was like, this guy just redefined what 86 means. And you know what? I hate golf. The idea of golf is weird. I'm just like, what kind of sport's this? Where you're not doing it. You just walk around.
It's white things.
Yeah. Rich white people think, but it's just like, I don't understand it. So I don't engage with it.
Yeah.
But this changed me. Because I saw the old man, I'm like, how long can I grapple for? I can't grapple until I'm 86. My body's already breaking, and I'm assuming it's going to start breaking badly in another 5, 10 years, 15 years. And so how long can you do it for? Whereas golfing, 1, you're in the sun, which is just amazing for your health.
Yeah.
And 2, you just walk around. Like, I don't know how many thousands of steps you do talking, walking. I feel like that's... Just for that reason, something clicked, and I was like, it doesn't make sense for me right now, but it makes sense.
Or something.
Yeah, it makes sense. Even if I start doing a little bit, so I have something to do when I'm 50 onwards, because you can't just keep grappling because you're just going to die. Like your body will your arms will fall off. Even right now, this whole trip, I took off because my body needed. Basically, my policy is that you let yourself burn out. People like they don't burn out. People might disagree. I don't really, whatever. But people like, okay, schedule in off days so you don't burn out. My thing is, your body will just give you a off day when you burn out. So when that happens, take the off day and then just start working from the next day. So these trips, I finally my body gets a bit of rest. So I wait for the little pains to go away. I have a little elbow pain, and it's annoying because it didn't go away. So it's just frustrating, but might have to start golfing just to have something active to do. Because I saw someone else. I told you I won't take his name. He's a famous person. Like he's a pracharak. He's very old too, but I saw him the following in the same trip, and he's a similar age. And I was like, just in terms of physical fitness, it was crazy the difference between the two people. But Harbhajan Singh Ji, he was just so fit. He was walking around, carrying his groceries into the bag, driving himself, golfing in the morning, meeting us in the afternoon, and just fit. Yeah. No issues getting off the sofa, sitting back down, sitting on the chair, eating, talking with us, just totally relaxed. Yeah. He's like a 50-year-old, like a 60-year-old.
He looks at most like 65, 70 or something.
Exactly.
He looks nothing like 86.
Not 86.
Like when I heard he was born in 1947 or something, I was like, how is this guy
30s.
86?
He's born in the 30s.
30s? I thought he was born in 1947.
30s.
No way.
So, he was just, that was one wild aspect of him. It was just like, this is inspirational. That's what you want, You don't want people with, anyway, we're not people that do that. Sedentary lifestyle is not for us, We're meant to be on the backs of horses and in the mud pits wrestling. That's in our blood, Not getting fat, Even there's that pankti. I remember I read it at. It's in the Parakarma of Bangla Sahib Gurdwara, and I was like, "Whoa, Gurbani says that." Well, it just said, "Fit ve hajivya, jit khai vadai pet."
Yeah.
कि फटकार है इदां दे जीवन दे जे बैठ के तुसी टिड. You know, and the difference is that some people say it, but their body doesn't lie. Your body doesn't lie. So if you can sit on stage and say whatever you want, but your body won't lie. So it speaks for itself. Anyway, so he was super fit, and it was quite inspirational to sit with him and just be like, this is, you know, how one should lead and take care of your body. So you're still functioning well. So he was very easy to have a conversation with and everything. And then we sat with him before lunch for like an hour and a half. We recorded the whole thing. And he's just talking through his experiences, talking through Bhai Samund Singh Ji, his, you know, how he taught, how he lived his life, the partition experience. I'm going to release the whole thing. I don't keep anything to me. So we're just waiting for the edits to happen maybe in the next few weeks, month or two. Edits will be finalized. And then once the edit's done, it'll be on YouTube so everyone can watch it, you know. But it's just a casual conversation. We mic'd him up before he realized we're going to record, you know, like people forget. So we mic them up early, and then we just go about our day, and then eventually the conversation happens, and when it happens, we're ready with the mics already on, you know. So it was super interesting. I was telling you earlier, he goes, when they came in the partition, first thing, he's never been back, and that's his house. He grew up in the house.
Right.
And Nankana Sahib. He said, yeah, finally we had built a house in the Parkarma. In the video, I'm pretty sure it should come up in the video, but he started recalling and he started actually drawing with his finger a map of Nankana Sahib. And he said, हाँ जी परकरमा दे ऐस कोने ते आपां घर बनाया सी ते उत्थे घर बनाया सीगा ते उत्थे बाहर दा plaque लिखिया होया सीगा Hazur Singh, Samund Singh. That's his grandfather's name. And he's like, I've been told that plaque is still there, the house is still there. The Muslims that live there haven't gotten rid of it. But he's like, I've never been able to go back so far. And he's like, we had just built that house in late 30s, and then we had to leave in the 40s. So he's like, we had to leave everything behind. He's like, and that's some interesting facts. He's like, when we came to Ludhiana, then Bhai Samund Singh Huni were offered a permanent job at Darbar Sahib. And he's like, at the time, the salary of engineers was 400 rupees, and Darbar Sahib offered him 2,500 rupees.
When was this? Like which period?
It's when they first moved back. He didn't say the year, but when they moved to India after the partition, the Rasa wanted him to become and he didn't want to do it for whatever personal reasons. Probably didn't want to do the duty aspect of which is quite, again, we can go into this too, because I recorded another podcast by Surjit Singh Ji, and he actually went in depth with just being frustrated with the duty aspect of being a Kirtani, because Gurdwara systems end up quite a lot of the times abusing them, almost like slave labor. Like, you know, you do this too, you do this too, you do, like a Kirtani ends up, you know, by Surjit. This is not my words. We recorded this in the podcast as well. It will come out and everyone can listen to it. But he literally goes, you know, Ragi Singh, Kirtan kar rahe hain, everything, you're doing everything, but why do they get in trouble? Because Pradhan Sahab aaye to usse utke Sat Shri Akal nahi bulai. So you get in trouble. Who are you? Like, what is this?
No, that's crazy.
What is this? You know? I asked him point blank, I'm like, don't mind me saying this, but why aren't your sons Kirtanis? Because it was so endearing to see. You rock up to the house, huge house, and Paisab lives there. I'm like, it's odd that question arises, and it arises in everyone. It's like, how can a Kirtani live like this, you know? That it should be troubling that question even exists, but it's true. And then his son runs a business, and his other son's a doctor, and then obviously they're doing well for themselves, but they have immense pyar for Kirtan. But then that question arises, like, would you be able to progress like that economically for your family if they didn't leave Kirtan? Which is in their heart what they want to do. They want to stay and do Kirtan. Yeah. But you can't. We'll get to him in a sec. Bhai Samund Singh Huni, he was like, just, no, I don't want to do the duty. And 2,500 compared to 400 in today's day and age, that's, just think about it. If an engineer gets $100,000, these guys are turning around and saying, we'll give you $500,000. Obviously, but just goes to show that still there was appreciation for people. And then for him to turn around and be able to say no. That I want to do my own programs and I'm okay with that, with the Sangat and all that kind of stuff. That was interesting. He told us Bhai Samund Singh was a very big shauqeen of food. He loved food. He was a big foodie. Even to the point when he was a kid, they'd give him dahi to wash his hair and he'd run off and then he'd just eat the dahi.
I feel like that's the thing with Kirtanis. They're normally like pretty big foodies.
It seems to be, right? It seems to be the case. You know what? It's not just Kirtanis, it's musicians in general. We forget that Kirtanis are musicians. So we had an hour and a half conversation with him, and he spoke about all things. Bhai Samund Singh, just reminiscing about him, about Bhai Samund Singh ji, about... He was basically saying, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but he was a prodigy. So he was just prodigious. But I have a different take on that. Because Bhai Bhajan Singh ji was saying, look, I never saw him memorize a shabad. I never saw him practice. Right? But he was also saying I didn't spend much time with him. And he would have been older by then. For example, there was a point when I would travel and I wouldn't go one day without practicing a few hours, even in travels. Now, with when my students are with me, for example, you came to the UK and a bunch of my students came along to the US, and they see me, and a lot of the days they won't even see me practice. I'll do some vocal upkeep, but I won't practice. I won't sit there and actively memorize. And then they could have the same thought, like, hold on. We're saying with this guy 24/7, he's not practicing. What's this other kahani?
Sanu kende rehde.
Sanu kende rehde ya. Aap te karde nahi hai. You know, so I'm thinking, people could be thinking that too, but they don't know that it's a different ball game at different junctures and different goals you're looking for, right? Like if an athlete has a fight on the day, or if an Olympic athlete's going to run 100 meters on the day, they're not going to wake up in the morning and then, go do cardio for 2 hours to increase their endurance. That's not the day for it. It's going to ruin their performance. So a lot of the times people miss that too. So maybe, I don't know how much of this prodigious thing. And he also said that his grandfather didn't sing in public, which was a surprise. I thought he was a Kirtani. He's like, no, he didn't really do Kirtan. Bhai Samund Singh ji's dad. And this is all in the podcast with him. So I really hope that everyone watches it to get to know him. And he was so humble. He was just like, this is the other thing about people. It's like people that have gun and people that are comfortable with who they are and what they have to offer, they don't have to oversell it. They don't demand like you to be subservient to them, which you see from some people. So this guy, he was just so relaxed. He was like, "Tusi mainu gaate milana hai, mainu te aai nahi samajh aa rahi." The first 5 minutes of a conversation is that. He's like, "What? Mainu nahi pata tusi mainu kyun milana aaya. Te main te tonu suniya siga." He goes to me, he goes, "Main te tonu suniya siga. I'm so excited to meet you." I'm like, relax. This is not how this goes. We're all like, it's an immense honor to be here, right? For the first little bit, I was sitting on the table going, are we really having lunch with him? Is he real? If he's real, that means Bhai Samund Singh was real. Yeah, it's just absurd. I was watching Manbir Singh and Preet Singh. These guys are avid enthusiasts. Bahut kirtana pyar hai sare nu. And they're sitting there next to Bhai Samund Singh's son, and I'm just like sitting here going, holy crap. Do you guys realize what's happening? How are we just sitting here? How is this? It took me a while to register. It definitely took me a long time to register. Even Virginia, I had a Hazri. And I did Kirtan in Virginia. And, some Sangat comes and they want to say hi. And then, so I stick around and said hi to everyone. As I'm leaving, the last person that I said bye to everyone, the last person one guy kind of shakes my hand and looks me in the eyes and says, Fateh. And then he just goes to me. I said, Fateh, like everyone else. And he goes, you're meeting my dad tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean I'm meeting your dad tomorrow? He's like, I'm Bhai Singh's son. I'm like, you're Bhai Singh's grandson? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't let go of his hand. I was like, I'm holding this guy's hand. This is absurd.
Yeah.
How's this real? How do you guys all just live here?
Yeah.
How are you guys real? And but yeah, I asked him. He's like, yeah, I play tabla. His wife was super lovely. She's like, I do kirtan. It was surreal. It was surreal moments, you know.
Yeah.
And then we met him. As I said, we sat for an hour and a half. Then when we were having lunch, Karanveer, super sneaky guy. He had the mic ready. He had the camera ready.
Yeah.
So he's talking while eating. He recorded the full conversation with consent. Like Bhai Sahab knows that we were recording him.
Yeah.
And so that will, hopefully there's not too much khadka of the plates and karna. If it's not, then we'll upload that as well. Uto baad aapa gaye Tampa Gurudwara, and Bhai Sahab was like, no, tusi je aaye hain, you have to do kirtan before us. So I did kirtan, and I sang only Bhai Samund Singh ji material.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, Har Charan Saran, Agaman Antanad, ek do cheezaं hor si.
So give us a...
Nahi so ke visre nahi. Man mere bhulle, ek do hor cheezaं gaiyan. And he was singing in the back. Preet Bhaji said this. I don't know, but Preet Bhaji was like, Preet Bhaji said, I could see he was getting like a bit emotional, you know, because even afterwards, and this is, no one else was there, it was just me when I went, as soon as I finished, before I sat down, I went and just went for his Ashirwad. How can I sing in front of you? You know, like, I don't know, I don't even know how to sing in front of you. I don't even know what to sing in front of you.
Like you look up to.
Yeah, it's like, what do I sing in front of the guy that's lived in the same house as Bhai Samund Singh? He's heard him. What am I going to sing? And I just went to kind of apologize. Jo bhi main utte gand paya stage te, I apologize. And he grabbed my wrist, and then he grabbed my tricep, and he's just like rubbing it. He's like, the man mere pule, I just haven't heard that in so long, like kaput to kaput to kaput. And then he's just like, I could see that for him. I don't know, maybe it's just like him seeing the composition being alive, like still being sung. Yeah. Maybe that meant something. I don't know. I didn't prod. I was just thankful to have that moment with him. So I didn't prod. I was just like, you just give me your Ashirwad. That's literally the only thing that matters here for me.
Yeah.
Just to get your blessing. That's it. And then he got on stage, and he sang this Basant in Chaptal, which was very nice. Then he sang Chacha Chore da karke jehda shabad hai in Kafi, and then he sang Aavo Sajna ho dekha darshan te. I asked him, bandisha kitthon? He's like, Vaheguru to. Wow. He likes to compose and he likes to sing. Even in the Basant, he was singing like Tihais. He's 86. He sounded lovely. Beautiful sur. The aesthetic sense is like embedded in him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like embedded in him by osmosis, being around Bhai Samund Singh. So the aesthetics are there. That's the other thing. A lot of this stuff isn't taught by you sitting in front. It's taught by you being around. And that's why, like, even my students, I always urge them to come on the tours. They'll come on the tour, and afterwards they'll be like, yeah, we actually learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm telling you.
For sure.
I'm telling you, like, that's how I learned a lot. You just have to be around more so than actually sit down. If you get 10 minutes of my time, I can fix one or two things. Fine. But trust me, that's not how this works.
Yeah, definitely.
He said that too. We asked him, how does Bhai Samund Singh teach? Asked him a question, and he goes, look, purane zamane ch edda nahi jyada hunda siga ki baitho main sikhana. People were just around. His students would just be around.
Yeah.
And if you're talented enough, you pick it up. If not, then it's not for you. It's like a filtering process almost.
Yeah.
You know? So then he sang those shabads. And baad cho jithe aapa reh rahe sige, the auntie turns to me, and auntie, she's like, we hear him all the time, but aaj unhone jor bada laya. She was like, he was like trying today, and because he was excited.
Yeah.
Sunana aaya. Acha ek aur hasyali gal dasa. I'm sitting with him, like I'm sitting in front of him and he's about to start. And
at the same program?
At the same program. The uncle sitting next to me like this. This uncle is probably like similar age. Now I'm thinking these guys are very old, but he's probably 65, but I don't know. He could be 85. Maybe in Tampa they age differently. Yeah. But he was like this. He had a bum bag on, very upright back, and he's like this. He turns to me and he's like, "See, I don't know, like you here to meet him?" And I'm like, yeah, you know who he is? And he's like, yeah, he's my golf buddy.
That's too good.
He goes, we play golf together every day. I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. You know, like he was just shocked that you come to meet my buddy. Like I know him. We hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. You know, I sensed that from the Sangat there a little bit. They're like, okay, like there's a lot of value in this person that's with us. You know, people are constantly coming to meet him from out of town.
Yeah.
So that was definitely an experience that you hold close to your heart for the rest of your life. That was the one that we were expecting. The one we weren't expecting was a few weeks before I toured, Dipinder Viji, who's a Singh from, I think it's Maryland, Virginia, that area. But they messaged getting in touch saying, please come to this side of town. We'd love to organize tours of yours, or something along those lines. And I put them in touch with Ujjal, who's the man when it comes to this stuff. He runs the show, like where I'm singing, when I'm singing, all that kind of stuff in that area. Ujjal's been running the show. So he gets in touch with Dipinder Viji, and these guys are like, if you guys are coming to town, you're staying with us. There's no ifs and buts, full stop. Anyway, so I land, and Ujjal was meant to pick me up, and Karanveer and I land at the same time. There's no Ujjal to be seen. Messages, he forgot to pick us up. He thought it was the wrong day.
Yeah.
And it was already fixed. Like he'd already spoken to Dipinder Viji, and Dipinder Singh Huni had come to pick us up.
Yeah.
So that was already fixed. But it was just like the botch up happened.
Yeah.
So we got a 1 hour ride with Dipinder Singh Huni in the car.
Mm-hmm.
We got in the car, and then he starts talking about Kirtan. And then he starts saying that the reason that he was adamant is because his dad was adamant.
Right.
Because his dad had heard me sing, and his dad was like, he sings a lot of Principal Dayal Singh. Who's my teacher? Who is he? Like, I want him to come, make sure when he comes, he has to come here. And then, so that was the link.
Wow.
And then we're talking about him the whole way home. Actually, if you're a subscriber on the platform and you learn, then if you learn Rasna Gun Gopal Nid Gayan, the reference recording in there is by someone called Bhai Surjit Singh, Long Island.
Yeah,
this is by Surjit Singh, Long Island.
Yeah.
That's by Surjit Singh's son is Dipinder Singh.
Wow.
That's the link. And I said to him, I'm like, we use your dad's recordings as references.
Wow.
And it's like, this is an honor, to me. Anyways, we go, and Bhai Surjit Singh was super fit too. We rock up to the house. It literally looks like a mansion out of like a Hindi movie. It's like a winding driveway and a big house. We drive up, and Bhai Surjit Singh is doing sad outside, like fast. It's like 11 p.m. and he's like, I was waiting for you guys. Yeah. I'm like, thank you.
At night?
At night, yeah.
11 p.m.
They're super fit as well. He was super fit too.
Yeah.
And we go inside. It's Bhai Surjit Singh Ji, his wife, 2 sons, their wives and their children. Everyone lives together. It's just like super lovely. Everyone was up pretty much, waiting for us. They had food ready. We had dinner. We had a small conversation. And then we're like, okay, we'll rest now. And then, because I had just flown 24 hours.
Yeah.
That we'll catch up the next day. But he ended up being like this, such a hidden gem, because he just was full of stories. He's heard everybody under the sun.
Wow.
Because he was a student at the Vidalya that teaches Gurbani Sangeet at Rakabganj Sahib, that Principal Dayal Singh Ji ran. Before him, Principal Hadith Singh Huni ran. And because he was a student there, he was one always at all the programs that happened at the Gurdwara. Two, they used to drive him around to programs and this, that and the other. So he's like, मैं ज़ख्मियाँ नू सुनिया, संता सिंह जी नू सुनिया, समून सिंह जी नू सुनिया. He's like, मैं सारे नू सुनिया. And so he had that kind of experience under his belt. And, stories for days. He's like, एक बारी भाई संता सिंह जी नू किसी ने आशा की वार सुनी. Did you hear this part? It's in the podcast. Yeah. So we recorded a little chat with him too, and we'll upload it. And he was like, after the Asaki Var, someone walks up and gives him a key to an ambassador. Gaddi deti. He's like, after listening to the Asaki Var, he was moved that he's like, I want to give you something. So he gave Paisanta Singoni a car,
Wow.
This is it. And he told some other interesting stories in there. Like, you have to watch it. It will come out in, again, this edit's going to happen first before the Samund Singh edit. Once the edit happens, you have to watch it. Like, he reminisces about his teachers. He gets emotional. Then he tells this crazy story in there about how the Vidala was made. And he says, he takes all the names and everything in there. I'm just going to paraphrase it here, but you can go hear it from him directly when we release the podcast. But he goes, there was this Singh who was running out of money, and he went to Sant Babatar Singh Mastwana saying, give me some hal, kidna main paise kamawa, how do I look after my family? And he gave him a bit of seed money, 5,000 rupees or something, ki tu apna business shuru kar. Utte khudai da, excavation or digging, whatever. He took that money, starts that business. As soon as he starts digging, underneath it's all marble.
Wow.
And it's marble, so he hits a jackpot. And for those that have been to Delhi, if you're Connaught Place, all that area, everything's white. That's his marble.
Wow.
And so he starts digging, it's all marble. Starts selling the marble. The first thing he did, he buys a big plot of land, some mansion, and gets a certain amount of money and gives it to his sons, saying, now, don't expect money from me. You're set, I'm clean. Everything else that comes out of this excavation is mine. I've made you rich enough. All right? You've got what you need for the rest of your life. So, pehla unhonu separate karke, for then he went back to a humble lifestyle. And all the money that came from there, he put into the Gurdwara in Delhi. He made the Vidala.
Wow. Kya baat.
So that funded all of this. And he tells the story in depth in the podcast, so have a listen when it comes out. But he was talking about Bhai Samund Singh. He's like, Gani Dal Singh used to say, Gani Dal Singh did Dilruba Seva with Bhai Samund Singh for 6-7 years or something. He's like, there's no one like him.
With Bhai Samund Singh?
Yeah, he's like, there's no one like him. He's one of one. Another interesting story was, he goes, Principal Dal Singh, when he used to do Dilruba Seva, I don't know if I'm confusing this, just the 6-7 years thing, but he definitely played Dilruba with Bhai Samund Singh Ji. Then he did Dilruba Seva at Darbar Sahib. So this might be 6-7 years, I can't remember. You can listen to the podcast when it comes out. But he started going a little bit crazy because he used to do Dilruba Seva at night, and then he used to do Dilruba Seva in the morning. And then sona hi band karta si unhone. Because it used to be daytime.
Yeah.
And he's like, utte nera hi nahi hunda 10-11 baje tak, swere 2 baje uthna hai.
Yeah.
And he couldn't sleep at night, and he had to be up in the morning. And then he started going a little bit crazy because no one can last without sleep.
Of course.
And then so he had to actually step back from the duty and say, no, I'm losing my sanity, I need to kind of... See, these things, this is a story from someone who's walked the path. Everyone likes pompous, fake stories. What story does everyone want? Principal Dayal Singh did Kirtan at Darbar Sahib. Oh, sona hi band karta si. Unhone 5 saal sutta hi nahi. That's what people want to hear. That's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Now, Principal Dayal Singh Ji, what's the truth? He's a human just like you and I. He needed sleep. He couldn't do it. And so he made the rational choice and he said, I need to step back and sleep. But people want stories that they, you know. And another interesting thing happened. People that have done it will always have real stories. People that haven't done it or haven't walked the path, they'll have stories up in the air. मेरे नाल भी बड़ा हुंदा है कि किता है नहीं तुसी बस you're talking about it.
Yeah.
I turned to him and I was like, भाई साहब, यार पुराने ज़माने च, because I said to him like ਜਦੋਂ मैं ਹੁਣ ਸ਼ਬਦ याद करदा ते ਹੁਣ याद है पर साल बाद 3 महीने बाद 6 महीने बाद भूल जाना. So how do I keep it memorized? Because you can't practice all shabads every day. There's hundreds and hundreds. And I said to him, how did the Ragi Singhs keep everything fresh, like available, so they don't forget it?
Yeah.
And he, again, like, what would be like a story pulled out of the stars? Could be Navy, they had everything memorized and blah, blah, blah. What he says is, he goes, look, jede sare purane Ragi sige, they sang like a few hundred shabads. That's it. That was their repertoire. And they were really good at that. He's like, I heard Bhai Santa Singh Ji's Asa Ki Baar multiple times. It was the same every time. Maybe one shabad that he's singing later, he was singing earlier, and the earlier shabad he's singing later. But the Asa Ki Baar is the exact same.
Yeah.
So he's not every time now with the phone and constant hazris, everyone has to come up with something new.
Yeah.
You do Kirtan today, it's live streamed everywhere. Tomorrow you can't sing the same thing. Listen to Bhai Samund Singh recordings, you're going to get a set shabad, set repertoire, it repeats.
Yeah.
So that's what he was saying. He's like, these guys had set repertoires. There'd be some additions, subtractions, it will keep going. It was dynamic, but there was a set repertoire. And he's like, oh, edda siga ki every time they sing it, oh rang jamda siga, because they practiced it so much. Oh bani andar vas gई si, oh bandish andar vas gई si. That male of the two things, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਲਤ ਆ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਮਝ ਦੀ, ਬੰਦਿਸ਼ ਦੀ, ਤਾਲ ਦੀ, ਸੁਰ ਦੀ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ, then ਅਸਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ. Because they had practiced those things so much, then ਫਿਰ ਅਸਰ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ. So it's not like we have to unlimited ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ. Just chip away. And that was a big insight. Again, and Bhai Sahuni still does Kirtan memorized.
By Surjit Singh. Yeah. I think he was doing Kirtan on stage before you in the first one as well.
He did, yeah. So
beautiful Kirtan.
Yeah. And pretty much sings exclusively Principal Dalsi material.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because that's someone who's lived his whole life doing Kirtan from memory and seen all these Kirtanis do Kirtan from memory.
Wow.
And he's saying this. This is like nichod, you know? This is like tat. It's like this is the truth from all of those decades of observing and doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Not from a distance and you're like, Hanji bhi puri Guru Granth Sahib ji tusi kant kar lo. It's not reality. Like Kirtanis didn't really do that. They had a few hundred shabads, 1,000, 2,000 shabads, something. And then that's your repertoire and you build off that. So it was refreshing to hear that, because suddenly things become doable.
Yeah.
Because as a student, you'd be like, God damn, like, you have everyone's repertoire in front of you, right? You have a few hundred shabads from Bhai Santa Singh, a few hundred shabads from Bhai Samund Singh, a few hundred shabads from the Zakhmis, a few hundred shabads from whoever, like the Namtaris have solid repertoire. Now as a student, you're looking at thousands and thousands of things. You're like, how do I memorize that?
Yeah.
Whereas the reality is, they don't know each other's repertoire.
Yeah.
So that was a good insight, you know. But that was definitely something that we weren't expecting. And it was a beautiful interaction, beautiful family, and we took away a lot from that, you know.
Yeah.
I can talk about the divans too.
Yeah, probably just mention a bit about that.
Yeah. So, about the programs, the first 2 nights was Virginia and Maryland. No, Maryland and then Virginia. And wow, this is interesting too, because Virginia was mostly older people. Some young people, but a lot of older people. It was surprising because I wasn't expecting that, because a lot of people that know me through social media, which is a younger user base. So it was like, it was just like really heartening, like really, it felt really warm, like to see to get love from, older people. They were just there and they're like, like there was this older uncle auntie, they're like, we listened to the Basically podcast yesterday. I was like, I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
Usually with the older people, they'll come and say, oh, we didn't know anything about you, the program. We just at the Gurdwara and we saw and we liked it. That's normally it. Not like we listen to the Basics podcast and then we can't, you know what I mean? So it was just like refreshing. Like it was like very, it was nice. It felt warm. Then the next night I sang at Virginia, and I had a Khyaal sing and
I think that video went,
Bhaji's daughter.
That video went pretty viral.
Yeah, the video went viral. Like I got them to sing on stage. Then after that, we went to New York. New Jersey was interesting. People were different there.
Sure.
People were a little bit different. I feel like the city changes people a little bit. So, if you walk down the street in New York, everyone's everyone got like a self-importance, like what we're doing, where I got to go and I got to get there for 9 a.m. It's more important than where you got to go and get there for 9 a.m. kind of thing. And they walk and bump shoulders and they just keep walking. And I got to go. That thing? Yeah. Where you're kind of too cool and what you're doing is most important. I got that vibe from some of the people. But I also got immense, love from a lot of the people.
Yeah.
Oh, such a... Oh, this was the best. This is the best story. I finished doing Kirtan at Plainview Gurdwara. I sang Bihag. That recording's up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sun Sakhiya Mere Neend Pali.
Yeah.
Sahib Singh Bakshi? He has a YouTube channel. Yeah. I didn't know who he was. I know his YouTube channel.
So you didn't know who he... Oh.
So he was there... And he was like, he introduced himself, like he says his full name. He says, I'm Sahib Singh Bakshi. And I'm like, YouTube? And he's like, yeah, on YouTube. I'm like, well, thank you, man. He's done immense seva uploading.
Is he like an older person? Or?
No, actually, you know what? I couldn't even guess. So I'm not going to go there. But immense seva that he's done uploading recordings. Anyways, so before I meet him, I finished doing Kirtan. And I'm meeting everyone, and someone comes up to me and says, look, there's a lady downstairs, an older lady, and she wants to meet you. She's just sitting in the Langar hall whenever you're ready. You go meet her. She says she learned of Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan. I'm like, what? For those that don't know, Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan, he's Ustad Bhai Ghulam Ali Khan Sahib's grandson. He's my Dada Guru. It's because my teachers, I'm a Ganda Band Shagird, or... मेरी प्रोफाइल च लिखा है गंडा बंद शिगिर्द. Those that don't know, ganda band is they try a string on you when you're initiated into a karana. So it's quite a big deal. Like it's a ceremony that happens. They tie a string around you. You give some offerings. For toda guru toda god chane khalande like a jutta sharing ceremony kind of thing. Like you are my family. Yep. So I'm a ganda band shigird of Ustad Jawad Ali Khan, Mazhar Ali Khan, who are the grandsons of Ustad Bhai Ghulam Ali Khan.
Wow.
Their uncle is Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan. Their uncle and guru is Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan. Pittsburgh Gurdwara, I'm about to sing, and someone starts reading my bio, and it says Ganda Band Shigird. Bhai Manbir Singh is a Ganda Banda Shigird. Ganda Shigird. I was sitting on stage, and I was like, everyone on stage were just like, no one laughed. If one person laughs, everyone's going to start laughing. So no one laughed here. Everyone just chup. Sare baad jo hasange. It's like Ganda Shigird. Because it's spelled the same way, Ganda, right? Ganda.
Yeah, Ganda.
It's like Ganda. It's like Ganda Band Shigird. Anyway, so that's the link with Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? There's a Shigird of Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan here? Super surprised. I was like, okay. So I say bye to everyone. Make my way to the Langar hall. She's sitting in the back. He goes, oh, there she is. I go and sit down. And super lovely lady. Probably, I don't know how old, but like 60, 70, something like that. And like just white hair, milk white hair. Super charming. Like very like charming smile. Good sense of humor. Like it's super charming. I was like engaged in the conversation. I was like, this person, I want you to keep talking, And she starts talking and she goes, Sahib Singh Bakshi is sitting there. And she goes, I'm Mera Puttar Vargaya. He's like a son to me. He goes, he showed me your recording. And he goes, you know how old people get to that age where they're just frank? He She goes, he said to me, he's like, Dekho, this Manbir Singh, he's coming to the program. Well, let's go listen to him. And my recording, Suni, I didn't like it.
She said
yeah. So I started laughing. I'm just like, I love you. Like, it's so refreshing, right? And I just start laughing. She's laughing. We're having a good time. And then she goes, but then, you know, he was adamant, no, you have to come, let's go. She's like, फिर मैं आ गई. She's like, but जब फिर मैं सुनिया जब तू बिहाग गाया, which was the second or third thing I sang.
Yeah.
He's like, third or fourth thing I sang. She's like, जब तू बिहाग गाया, then I was there. She's like, जब तू बिहाग गाया, मैंने पता लग गया. मैं कहा हाँ पटियाला गाया. But that's the thing, like, the fact that she was brutal about the first thing makes me believe the compliment, you know?
100%.
It's people that are just nice, you're just like, maybe just being nice.
Yeah.
But I was such a good, she's like, I didn't like it. I just didn't like it, you know?
What were the facial expressions like?
She was just laughing. She was laughing. She was just like, yeah. But then she was like, the bihag, I was like, because I sang a lot, like a bunch of taan, some movements I sang, you know, Kasur and Patiala, we do these movements that come from above on the surs. Like, I won't demonstrate it now, but I did some of those movements in the bihag. Maybe she... And the akar. These are the kind of signatures of that style. And she's like, when you say bihag, I was like, yep, this guy's from Patiala. I asked her some questions too. Her name's Manjeet Kaur. That was her name. I asked her some questions too, just to kind of test the waters. I was like, because a lot of people say stuff.
Yeah.
But she checked out. Like, she knew. She's like, "Main Meera Banerjee nal gaiya." Meera Banerjee's my other Guruji's teacher, Pandit Shantanu Bhattacharya. Her teacher's Meera Banerjee. She 100% learnt of Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. Meera Banerjee, Prashun Banerjee. These are all names that are like, if you're in the field, you know. And but you only know them if you're like in properly, not just surface level. And so she's like, मैं मीरा नू जानदी, मैं प्रशुन नू जानदी सी, मैं मीरा नाल गाइयां, ते मैं संध्या नाल गाइयां. This another student. Then she named a few more. Then she's like, I know Raza Ali Khan, who's Munawwar's son. She knew everyone. So it was legit. She's like, she goes, even to the point where Ustad Munawwar Ali Khan, she took 15-20 shabads written in Urdu to him, and he tuned them for her. Like, he bandishaं banaiyan sigiyan, shabdan diyan for her. So she's like, I have a tampura at home that was made by Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan for me. Like, he said, "Aap banwa lo," or something. She's like, "Kare pe aa, come over so you can have a look," you know. So that was a very interesting and unexpected encounter. You know, I was like, "Oh, I did not expect this whatsoever." You know. Anyway, so New York people were a little bit different to Virginia and Maryland. Virginia and Maryland, everyone was very opening, very warm, welcoming. New York, everyone was like appreciative. But at the same time, they were kind of like too cool for school. You know, they had that vibe about them. Met like heaps of lovely people there, And one of the Gurdwara committees, they like, as soon as I walked off stage, they're like, you have to come backstage. I'm like, I understand, but let me meet people because they've come to the program. They expect like me to come out. They're waiting to say hi, so I should. I want to go say hi to them. They're like, no, you have to come to the back. I go to the back and they make me do like a promo for them. They're like, there's this event happening, please attend the event on the 30th of September. I was like, yes. So we sang there, New York, New Jersey. Then we went to Bhai Harbhajan Singh Ji. We saw him. After that, I sang in Pittsburgh, which was also super nice experience. Everyone was very nice. They're nice. I sang Hamir. I sang a few more things.
Oh, good name, I think. How was that?
Yeah, that wasn't uploaded yet.
Yeah.
Then Friday, Saturday, I sang at this big program organized by Hazur Arts.
Yeah. Hazur Foundation, not Arts. Yeah. In Indiana. That was super lovely too. Like, everyone was very keen, very receptive. This might be an Australian thing, but everyone here is super relaxed. If you don't make fun of yourself, then you can't last in this. Doesn't matter how good you are in whatever you do. You have to be able to make fun of yourself, right? So, anyways,
we drive, I don't know how many hours to Indiana. I'm super tired. I fell asleep in the car. It was like hours. I fell asleep in the car, and then we finally get there, and I'm wearing Australian shorts are like half the size of American shorts. And so I'm wearing my shorts, which are, my shirt. I'm wearing shorts, a shirt, and a bum bag, and I've been falling asleep in the car. Anyways, we finally get to Indiana, and I've just woken up. Okay, पहुंच गया. Okay, ठीक है. I'm like rubbing my eyes. Okay, भी दीवान है. शाम को दीवान है. हम जाके नहाइए. Let's freshen up, revise, and then warm up, and then हाज़री बननी है. I get out of the car in this day. I'm wearing shorts and shirt. I'm wearing a bum bag. गिद्द गुद्द साफ कर रहे हैं. मैं उठा, and I walk out, and there's like 15 Nihang Singhs ready.
No way.
It's like, why Guruji ka Khalsa? Why? And they start coming and meeting me. I'm just like, oh no. I kind of felt like that meme. You know, there's that meme that goes around when someone gets hit with something and they wake up in heaven. Have you seen that meme? And suddenly they're in clouds. They're like, oh no. Like you took a risk and you're dead. I woke up and it was just like Singhs in front of me. I was like, where have I landed? In the car crash, I go. So I met them. Super nice, super hospitable, like just lovely people. Then we sang that night. We had food at Guruji's. It was very good food. So if you're in the area, it tastes like really good langar food. Like if langar food, best langar food, that's what Guruji's tastes like, home food. Simrat and Sukhmeet were there, brother and sister. They sing and play lovely. Harlav Singh was there. He sings well. He teaches a lot. Bakshi Singh Huni were there. There's these ragis that do kirtan on Danti Saj. They were there. Very nice. It was very nice being around these people. Sang first night, sang second night. First night they kept changing the bar on me. They're just like, okay, you're singing for an hour. First, even the 2 days before, someone came to me and they said, we just heard you. One of the people that was helping organize heard me in New York, and he said 1 hour is too little. We need to give you an hour and a half at least. And I'm like, no, 1 hour is enough. It's enough. And so I sit on stage, and they go 1 hour. Start doing kirtan. It's like 45 minutes, and I'm like, okay,
reduced to 45.
Reduced to 45. I'm like, sure. I don't. You know me. I don't really put weight to this stuff. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a time to finish. I'll finish in 45 minutes. I don't care. Then I'm singing. And then in the recording, if you listen, at one point I say it too. I'm like, Jinna mein pone ke daje ga sakta, main gavanga.
Yeah.
Because they said 45 minutes, and I came like guns blazing. So I'm just like ready to go. And
you're changing bandish like every minute.
Because they for mine, they gave me a request that I sing Dasam. So I had no plans of singing Askirpan, Dinan ki Pratpal. मैं तो उतना गाई क्योंकि उन्होंने क्या गाओ. तो मैं सिंग सारे बैठे थे तक तुसी गाओ दसम. So मैं दसम गा रहे हैं. ते मैं क्या मैं गाई जाना मैंने किया. I am आसी कड़ा. Look, nothing to be like. I'm ready. Like let's go. Like I'm sitting. I've come prepared, and I'm singing, and I'm like, I'm totally fine. 45 minutes. I said it on stage. I'm like, पौने घंटे गा सकता. My gavanga, it's no issue. So I sing like 10, 11 shabas in that one divan. Because I finished the program. Karanveer cut this out. He should have left it in. Because now it's an awkward transition. But I finished the program and I say, like, any benti parwan karni. And then they come back and they're like, 1 hour. And I'm like, what? And then so he cut that bit out. I feel like he should have left it in. Then I sang 1 or 2 more Shabbat.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went to Detroit. Detroit was a crazy day. I sang in the morning, and then I did a workshop, which was 3 hours, and then I sang in the evening. So it was a heavy day. Literally after the workshop, I lost my voice. And we went to Tejas's house. He was super nice. He's a very talented photographer, lives in the area. He was like, you have to come to my house. So we went to his house, had some really good pizza. I literally had 2 slices of pizza, and I went to sleep upstairs in his room. I said, I'm going to die if I don't get some rest.
Yeah.
I slept for 45 minutes, woke up, had some cha, and I was like fresh, like literally the 2 things, having pizza and getting sleep and cha, 3 things.
Yeah.
Like refreshed me like I was brand spanking new, And so then we had the evening hazri, and then the evening hazri went quite well. It went okay. I sang that, and then after that, we said our goodbyes and everything, and then it was Ganbin and I left, which then we flew out the next morning. So it was very hectic. Again, like I've said this before too. Which like the main takeaway is like one thing is I do this because I learn a lot from it, and second thing is like I also get like a lot of like the appreciation I get from people, like even people that come and meet me and people that message me from programs that don't come and say hi, but they're like messaging, like all of this stuff feeds me to make sure that I am, even if I'm not my best, but not knowingly taking any shortcuts.
Yep.
That's what kills you when you take a shortcut knowingly. Like गलतियां तो होनी है, but जान के नहीं करनी चाहिए. जान के कितने और गलती ना रह जाए कि I could have worked that bit harder. I could have done this a little bit more, and you don't do it. That's when you know. And so this whole I feel like helps me stay accountable. And this time we had tech with us too, so we put all the videos up so people can enjoy them. And now I got a few months off, not off, a few months to work before I go anywhere else. So I think that's it from my end.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You were going to mention the car ride, weren't you?
Which car ride?
Like the...
Oh, no, it's fine. That was like, we were talking about the car ride before the podcast started.
Yeah.
I was just telling you that we had a long car ride with all the boys, and everyone was making up like riddles in Punjabi.
Yeah.
And they just all sucked. Like everyone was so delirious.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. I think well, let's just leave that. It was just like people that can't speak Punjabi trying to make riddles in Punjabi. It just wasn't working. Yeah. Well, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been thinking, what else is coming to my mind? I'm trying to think. I don't want to miss any, like... Anyways, nothing's coming to my mind, so we'll wrap it there. But we'll sit in a few weeks or something, and then if there's any updates, I'll let people know. But all good. Anyways, thank you to everyone that came out to the programs, because it means a lot, and I appreciate it. I try to take time out afterwards to say hi, but if I didn't say hi, I'm sorry. But I do really appreciate everyone. One, behind the scenes, I know a lot of people help organize the thing, so I appreciate those people. And I also appreciate everyone that actually took time out of their schedule to come out and actually sit in the program and sit through me trying to figure stuff out, trying to do my best on stage. So,
yeah,
thank you. That's right.